So Justina, we had a couple of lessons so far. You had to lower the high motion down pretty good, but there's a couple of things on your forehand that you're doing wrong. So hit a couple of forehands. I want to point out to you some of the corrections we need to make right away. Come right here in the middle and just hit it kind of straight. Okay, do it again. Okay, so you're not doing this as much as you were doing it when we were warming up because you had your finger kind of straight when I was feeding you from the other side. And that's what a lot of like beginner level players do. They find comfort in putting the finger like this, but actually what it does, it makes the whole contact more unstable. It puts the wrist in a really weak position. And what I find is actually you can get some pain in your wrist if you hold it like that. So when you hold the racket, you have to make sure that actually the finger, your index finger, is actually touching the grip. See, a lot of players will either hold it like this. I'm so sorry. You either hold it like this or they got very loose with this finger. And again, do you want some stability when you make contact so the racket is not wobbling around? So you do want to connect this finger to the grip. So let me see that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, see how kind of you had it holding the racket kind of high on the handle. You want to go low enough where the pinky is right on the edge and the end of the racket is inside your hand. Okay, let me see. That's perfect. And you hold it like this. Now when you make contact out here, see it's like really stable. And now the racket can be supported by this structure right here. All right, let's try it out. I'm going to feed you a couple of easy ones. Okay, that's not bad. Good. Try again. Not bad. All right, so that was a lot better. You can see the ball is going more straight. It's more firm. Are you holding it super tight now, or?
Yeah.
Don't hold it super tight either, because that's bad too. Because then you're kind of restricting the whole movement, and it's like stiff like this. Not too loose and not too tight.
Okay.
Like somewhere in between is the magic formula, okay? So let's hit a couple more. Now let me see the forehand now. Now it's too loose. Now it's too wobbly again. It's a little bit more firm. And get that finger, yeah, make sure you're holding it the right way. Okay, not bad. I feel like now you got the right grip pressure. Does it feel comfortable? Or do you feel like some kind of strain?
It's a little like it feels a little tight here.
See, let me show you one thing here. Pretend like my hand is the ball and put your strings against my hand, right here, okay? And I'll open your body up a little more towards the net. There you go. And I'm going to push on your strings and you hold the racket back. See, I'm pushing. This is the amount of pressure you need. See, if it's too loose, I'm going to be able to push your racket back, right? So enough pressure where you can hold my hand right here. Very good. Okay, now another thing that you're doing on the forehand, you kind of abruptly stopping the movement. Here, look, I'm showing you what it looks like. You're going here, and you're just going like this. You're stopping the racket here, and now the racket actually wants to keep going. That's why it's not actually stopping. You're trying to make it stop, but the racket still continues. And often what happens, and you can see this in the footage of the beginning, the wrist will then take over. You're trying to make the racket stop. The racket is building up momentum, and then it's taking the wrist with for a ride. And now you're using the wrist here. And this is actually a problem where you can hurt yourself, okay? You don't want to do that. So what you want to do is continue going with the racket towards the back fence. And I like a finish that goes above your shoulder right here. And now here's the thing. You can keep the wrist in place, like without moving the position of the wrist throughout the entirety of the stroke. Watch. You're going to hit it here, and you can open up a little more, right? And now you're going to keep going, and with the racket all the way to the back fence. And you see how the wrist kind of stays in this, what I call L shape. It kind of stays extended throughout the stroke.
Yeah.
That's going to give the ball the most control. You're going to be able to place the ball with a lot more control than you're doing now. All right, so let's try now to finish like I just showed you, okay?
Okay.
You're still stopping here.
You know, well, there's some progress. It's just, you know,
It's definitely more than in the
can't go
beginning.
all the way.
There's progress, but let's get it backwards. See, your goal mentally should be to accelerate back there towards the back fence.
Okay.
Like plan that ahead of time to finish all the way, okay? Okay, do it again. Swing a little bit. But now you're doing something different where the thumb is up. Remember, the thumb needs to, okay, let me just show you again. This is super important to hold the racket correctly. The thumb cannot be on top of the racket like this. It's actually going to go around and it's going to sit on your middle finger.
Okay.
You see, and then the index finger is going to go right above. That's a perfect way to hold a tennis racket. You see? You cannot be here because, again, when you hit, there's going to be less stability. Your racket is wobbling around again. Wow. Okay, but you did it so fast, I didn't even see where you finished. Where do you think you went with the racket?
I went all the way down.
All the way? So what I want you to do now is kind
It
of...
made that sound. It was like. Psh.
It was definitely a lot better.
Okay.
But what I want you to do now is hold here. Don't come back right away like this. Like hold the racket here just a little bit at the end. So now, number one, so I can see it better and then you can feel it a little more. Wow. Okay, you went towards the side fence, which is big progress. You went to here. Let's get it even further, a little bit to here, okay? And hold it there. See, you're going like this here, and then you're bringing it right back. Hold the finish. It's really important to hold the finish. Better. Now, another important thing at this stage where you're just learning the forehand is not to hit it too hard. Because a lot of times when you swing super fast like this, let me show you. If I take a swing and I'm like, I don't really know like what the racket is doing because it's happening too fast. So it's really important that you slow it down. Slow down by 50%. Okay. And then you can feel the racket a little bit more as it's going across the body, okay? One more thing that we're going to do to make this swing path even cleaner and to help the whole like biomechanics of how your body's supposed to work, I want you to turn the back of your hand towards your left cheek at the very end. You see what I'm doing? Here, watch two different shots. Here's one where I go like this. That's what you're doing now. You see the back of the hand is towards the side fence. And look what happens when I turn the back of my hand towards the left cheek. Look how much cleaner the stroke looks. Here, I'll show you the two different forehands. Watch. Here's the first one. I'm going like this. And here's the second one. Watch this. Which one looks better?
The second one.
All right, you see how much smoother it looks? It looks like the wrist is being strained when you finish like that. So turn the racket over at the very end. This is the more natural way to do it. Back of your hand towards your left cheek. Much better, but turn the racket over a little more at the end, like that. Turn the racket around a little bit more. Come on. Best one you hit so far. Much better. Much better. You see a difference? It's more natural way to swing. And then when you finish, your elbow is going to be pointing straight towards the target, like that. Good. And again, turn it around at the very end. Best forehand you hit today. That was awesome.
I think it's easier to apply the techniques that you're teaching closer up to
yes.
me as opposed to you feeding me the balls over
Of course. You know what the difference is here? You go right here in the middle. When I'm feeding you from the other side, you are dealing with a whole different like aspect of tennis, which is the incoming pace of the incoming ball, which you don't have when I'm just drop feeding it. That's why I like doing drop feeding, because you don't have to worry about that part. So when the ball is coming with pace, all of a sudden mentally you feel like panic and you forget about the technique and you just do your old swing, you know? So I like doing this progression where we're doing hand feeding, and then I try to feed you some, and then we'll do this progression until you get it, until you make the transition. But it's very normal to experience that when the ball comes, to feel a little bit of panic and you just take a swing and you forget what we just did, you know? Finish. Okay, turn it around a little more. It wasn't bad, but turn it around at the very end a little bit more, okay? More. Turn it more, Justina, more. Force the racket to turn around at the end. There you go, that's it. Do it again. Absolutely perfect. What do you think about that forehand? How good was that? Now you notice the difference?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, what's the difference? You see how the other ones were kind of going lower and that one had a little bit more shape? Because what happens when you intend to do this finish, you're going to make the swing path a little bit more vertical. And when you make it more vertical, you get what's called topspin, and the ball is going a little bit higher and has more chances to go in. As opposed to going more like this, it's a little bit more shallow. So look, if I plan to turn my hand over, there's more a likelihood that the racket will go up more like this, making the swing path more steep. And when that happens, look, if I go here, now, you see how it's a little bit higher versus going like this, watch. You see how it's a little bit lower? So that's what you did on that last forehand. Excellent job, and that's what you should try to do every time you hit a forehand. Very nice job.